Welcome to the Suffering Meatball Chronicles, the podcast where we relive the sound and the sweet chaos of live music. We are your hosts, Johnny Epiphone, and I'm Rob Henry. And here's the deal. This show is all about concerts we've seen, the stories we've lived, and the moments that made us feel alive, even if the details are a little fuzzy.
We may not always remember the exact dates, the full set lists, or even the band names. Please don't judge us. But we remember how it felt, from tiny dive bars to massive stadiums, from legendary acts to that one guy with the harmonica. This is our passion for live shows, loud nights, and the beautiful mess of music fandom.
So grab a drink, settle in, and let's stumble down memory lane. Because even if the facts aren't perfect, the vibes are. Welcome back, everybody, to the Suffering Meatball Chronicles. All right. So on this episode, this is episode 4. We would like to discuss a pretty epic show on June 10th, 1988. At RFK Stadium here in Washington, D.C. And looking back at this lineup and that show, it was epic, So we're going to talk about the Monsters of Rock tour with Kingdom Come and Metallica and Dokken and the Scorpions and Van Halen.
Yeah.
And the show, what a lineup. I mean, you had this for 1988. That was pretty epic, right?
Yeah.
There was no Ethernet cable at that point, so everything was done via copper, right? So that's a feed into itself. Trucks and trucks and trucks of cables and stage hands and monitor guys and just a huge tour. So yeah, that was a Friday, June 10th. I had a little trouble getting there. The story is that that Thursday night, me and my buddy Sean were in the taco, and we left the party, and I got my first and only DUI that night. Because I was trying to drown my sorrows. Yeah, I was trying to drown my sorrows in a lost love. And I should never been behind a wheel. And I learned tremendous amount from that experience. But here's the thing is that the show was the next day. And Sean and I were in jail. Him for drunk in public, me for driving while intoxicated, which I am not proud of. It was a very humbling experience, and I learned a lot about myself and my own addictions at that time in my life. And so
how did you guys get down there? Did you take the subway?
No. So the one and only phone call I had that they let me have, I called Steve. Sladek, and he came and picked us up. And we both went home, took showers, got ready for the show. And then I think I drove the taco down there. Wait a minute. No, because it was impounded. Somebody else had to drive. They impounded the car. I didn't get the car till after the weekend.
Oh.
So I did not drive. Maybe it was Steve Davis. Steve Davis was there. The crowd I was with was myself, and I believe Mike was with us. And Steve, and then Steve Davis, 2 Steves, and there was some other people that didn't come with us that we met that we all bought tickets for. We had a whole group of people, and I was in section 230, row 8, seat 1, and believe it or not, the ticket was only $25.
A bargain. Although a little not super pricey for back then, but for the amount of entertainment, definitely worth it.
Right, and we were huge Metallica fans at that time, and they weren't touring any club shows in DC, and they didn't tour with Ozzy till later on. I think.
No, no, they played with Ozzy at the Cap Center for must have been
Yeah,
Bark at the Moon
they
tour.
were definitely an opening band then.
But that was the only
But
time they ever played the DC area. They played Baltimore on the Ride the Lightning tour, and I know a bunch of people who went to that show, but
right,
I was not
and I
one of
mean
them.
Van Halen had just gone through a whole thing with David Lee Roth, 3 years before, and they were, on their third album, I guess, on this tour, and they were supporting the OU812 album. And the Scorpions, who were well established at that point with releasing, albums in the '70s, but they were at like the pinnacle, I think, of
Yes,
their of their stardom, I guess, of their uh, what's the word I'm looking for, Johnny? Their
Zenith.
yeah, right.
They're
Their
at their
zenith,
zenith,
right?
their
Exactly.
apex.
Right, as well as Dokken. Dokken was really getting a lot of MTV play, and Metallica wasn't getting any love from MTV or from anybody. They were just going off of album sales,
Yeah,
and being in that San Francisco area, LA area during the start of thrash. And then Kingdom Come, they
were
were
the new
had
kids
one
on the
album out.
block.
They
Yeah,
were the new kids on the block.
they were
I don't
the
remember much about them.
unknown. I remember the big buzz working at WGMU about them. There was all these comparisons to Led Zeppelin, and they definitely were heavily influenced by Led Zeppelin. The singer was German. He had been in two bands before then, Wolf something or other, and some other band, and they were like a manufactured group, I think. But
The manufactured group, really?
well,
Oh, they were.
they it was the singer got the contract, Lenny, and then he like hired all the musicians to fill out the band. So okay, maybe not manufactured, but not an organic start to the band, more
Right.
like a business thing. But
But they definitely fit the bill. I mean, those guys were definitely rocking,
yeah,
They just went on early and did,
I thought they
yeah,
acquitted themselves well.
yeah. They only did 7 songs, but they only had one album out at that time. So
Yeah,
um, I got the set list in front of me if you want to. I mean, I don't remember any of these songs.
the only one I remember is is what love can be. That was like
Right.
the single, I believe, that they were
Yeah.
pushing.
So the 7 songs they played were
And Get It On, I remember too.
yeah, Shout It Out, Living Out of Touch, Pushing Hard, 17, What Love Can Be, Get It On, The Shuffle. That was the Kingdom Come
Yeah, I don't remember
set.
most of those tracks.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, not memorable tunes. Although I have listened to that first album within the last year, just out of curiosity, nothing to do with the show, and it was all right. It was, they were a
yeah,
decent band.
they were definitely rocking, and fit the mold at the time. I don't even know where they're from. I guess they're LA. No, you
I
said
want to say the guitar player was from this area. Um, I can't remember his name. I mean, God, that it's been so long. But I think I remember reading an article in the Post maybe about the show and them talking about him being from this area. I don't know. I could be totally tripping in my mind about that, but
all right. So
anyways,
Google says from '87 to '89, it was Dan Stagg. Dan Stagg, where was he from? Let's see. I'm
Where
looking
were
up.
you from, Dan?
Played in recorded LA bands. Let's see. In industry when he became good friends with Johnny B. Da, 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 da. I guess he was from LA. I mean, it says he was
Oh,
in
okay.
LA.
Well, maybe I'm
He
totally
played
wrong
in
about that.
Stagg played and recorded in LA bands uh, for a while. None of these bands I'd ever heard of before Kingdom Come. But enough about those guys, man. They they
Yeah,
they were okay, but they weren't that memorable, right? We weren't there to
no,
see
they
them.
were the
Okay,
openers for a reason.
right, right.
I'm
And
warm.
where
I'm
were
warm
your
about
seats, Johnny? I don't think you mentioned where your seats were. RFK is a huge football stadium that was built in like the '60s,
that.
and at that time,
I was
it
with
was
my
a football
friend.
stadium.
Yes, I was with my friend Dokken from WGMU, uh, uh, and we were down on the field. We brought. I don't think we had a blanket. I think we had a towel that we sat on, and we were down on the field for the show.
Oh, cool. All right, so how far back were you? I mean, that's a pretty big field. It's it's a
Yeah,
football stadium. So
we were maybe 30 yards from the stage, like in the middle, pretty much in the middle, maybe to
so
the
you had to get there
wall.
early to get in line in order to get
Yeah,
that position
yeah.
on the field.
I think we took the metro from Vienna. I think that's how we did it. I'm not 100% on that, but I don't think I would have driven down there. I think we would have taken the metro and just walked from the metro
Right.
station to the stadium.
I know we didn't. I know for a fact we didn't take the metro to go see this show because we didn't want to have to deal with that. So somebody drove. I think it was one of the Steves. Um, So yeah, Monsters of Rock. Like I said before we started recording, some sources say 23 cities, but the Metallica site for Monsters of Rock says 29. So I'm going to go off of the 29 city tour, and
More
it
is
went from
better.
May. Yeah, it went from May to July, and I can list the cities. Um, they had 3 shows in East Troy at Alpine Valley Music Theater.
Wow.
Then there was a show in Miami at the Orange Bowl. Then after Miami, it was Tampa, which was Tampa Stadium. It's funny, most of these stadiums don't exist anymore. Um, then it was our show, Washington D.C. at RFK Stadium.
June
Then
10th.
they played June 10th, and then June 11th they played Philadelphia, which was at JFK Stadium. And then June 12th, they played Boston, which is Sullivan Stadium, which I don't think exists anymore. And then June 15th, they were in Pittsburgh at Three Rivers Stadium. And then 2 nights in Detroit, June 17th and 18th at Pontiac Silverdome.
That
Then
doesn't
June
exist
19th,
anymore.
yeah, that's definitely not there anymore. And then June 19th, they were in Buffalo at Rich Stadium. And then they had 2 nights in Akron. How come they did 2 nights? They didn't do 2 nights in DC. That's kind of crazy. 2 nights in Akron, Ohio. That's
Ohio is a big
June.
rock state, man.
Yeah,
I,
obviously, if they did two shows there, um, at the Rubber Bowl, which I
the
don't
Rubber Bowl, of course.
the
Akron
Rubber
is
Bowl.
known for it being the capital of Rubber City,
And they
tires
did
and
one
whatnot.
show after that on the June 25th. They did Portland at Oxford Plains Speedway. Then June 26th and June 27th, they were in East Rutherford at Giant Stadium.
Ooh,
Then July 2nd, they were in Houston at Rice Stadium. Then July 3rd, the show was in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl, which is still a thing. June 6th was in Indianapolis at the Hoosier Dome. June 9th, where they were in Memphis at Memorial Stadium. July 10th. Yeah, those were all July dates. July 10th, Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium, which is still a stadium that is being used for football and concerts. July 13th, they were in Minneapolis at the Metrodome, which that doesn't exist anymore. July 16th, they were in San Francisco at Candlestick Park. Yeah. July 20th, they were in Spokane at Joe Alibi Stadium, Alibi Stadium, Joe Alibi Stadium. July 23rd and 24th, they were in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. And then July 27th, they were in Seattle at the Kingdome, and they ended the tour on July 30th in Denver at Mile High Stadium. So
cool.
All football stadiums,
That's what it sounds
60,
like, yeah.
60 plus
Now,
probably at that time.
Do we know if Monsters of Rock, did it have any relation to the Donington Monsters of Rock Festival in England every summer? Or did they just appropriate the name and maybe they had
just appropriated the name? I think they called it Van Halen's Monster of Rock. So that's how they were able to use that name. Because I did click on a couple of links that brought me to those Donington shows. But yeah, this wasn't that. This was, Van Halen's Monsters of Rock tour. And I recently had a conversation with one of the contractors that I work with, and he said that they had 2 separate touring rigs, but I read that they had 3 separate touring rigs. So I don't know if Ted's memory, if he started the tour and they only had 2 rigs and they added a 3rd rig by the end, because you go from Portland, right? You're playing in Portland, which is way on the West Coast, to doing 2 nights in New Jersey. So yeah, those guys were flying around all over the place.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the guys trucking in the lighting rigs and all that.
Yeah, so Ted was part of the A crew, and he had some fantastic stories and pictures about this show, and I got to tell him my show that the night before I got to spend it in jail because I was foolish and did stupid things, and he laughed just at the mere fact that I made the show that following day.
That's some perseverance there, man, for sure. Kind of like,
yeah, he was.
I read somewhere that Sammy hurt himself on the, climbing the rigging, and I don't know if he broke his tailbone or just bruised it, but.
So yeah, I saw an actual interview with him when I was doing this research, and he basically he said that they never really got a chance to practice or rehearse on that stage. Those stages were already in motion and built, and they never really got a chance to go on that stage and rehearse for the show. They did it all on a sound set, and then the thing was built, and then they got up there. And what it was is there was a set of metal stairs that led up to, I guess, a drum riser or something like that. And he stumbled back and fell and hit his tailbone on that metal stairs and was bleeding. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy story. So he had to do the rest of the tour. This was like night 1, maybe night 2. I don't remember exactly when he said it was, but it was early on in the tour. And yeah, he broke his tailbone and had to get cortisone shots before he went out and sang because he was in so much pain.
Wow, that's some perseverance for you.
Yeah, I don't. Not many people would do that nowadays. They would have just canceled the tour.
Yeah, canceled it or rescheduled it for sure.
I mean, I don't know. There's no amount of alcohol that's going to take that pain of a broken, tailbone away.
No.
So the way he dealt with it is he would get daily shots before the shows so that he could actually perform. And he still climbed the rafters. He was still climbing rafters.
And he was not sitting down during the show. I imagine that sitting down would have not felt so great. Poor
Yeah, he
Sammy.
probably,
He's a trooper, though.
yeah, he probably had a legion of doctors taking care of him at that point. So yeah, they had 3 separate touring rigs, and my buddy Ted had some really great stories about that. But that's for another podcast. We can bring him in and have him tell his story
So
either on his own podcast.
who came on next? Was it Dokken that was second on the bill? It must have been.
No, no, it was Metallica.
Oh, it was Metallica?
Metallica came on after Kingdom Come. I have the set list in front of me.
And that would be why
Mhm.
maybe people were upset when Dokken was playing because Metallica had left.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people in DC definitely wanted to see Metallica because they hadn't been to town and they were, up and coming. Really, that let's see, the third album, Masters of Puppets, I think had just dropped, which
Yeah,
arguably,
they Metallica was their first shows with a new bass player.
yeah, and it's arguably, I think that Masters of Puppets was like their best album.
Yeah, that's the
And
zenith of their
that was
career.
the zenith. Yeah, it was released in 19. A lot of good albums. We talked about that before. A lot of good albums in '88, and Masters of Puppets is one of them. You know, some kids are growing up not knowing what the world would be like without Metallica.
Yeah, they
A
keep
lot of
asking
kids are.
Cliff who, and I'm like, come on, man, Cliff
Yeah,
Burton.
that's right. I had forgotten that I had saw Cliff on these tour dates. Right, he was still alive. Right? No, no.
Not on
Yeah,
Monsters
yeah.
of Rock, but on the opening for Ozzy on the Bark at the Moon tour.
Right. Yeah, I saw 2 of those dates. Um, yeah, I guess that was '87 that he died, right? So Jason was newly in the band.
Yeah,
Man, everything's a little fuzzy. That was a long time ago, man.
it was. It was almost
You
40
know?
years ago.
Yeah. Um,
Got to really stretch the mind to remember.
yeah, let's
Well,
kind of figure it out here. All right, so it is 2025, and it was 1988, and that would be 37 years ago. 37 years ago, man. And Metallica did a great set, but they didn't get but 40 minutes because they were the opening band, right?
they definitely
So,
delivered in that short set.
yeah, let's go over the set list. They opened up with Creeping Death. They did For Whom the
So
Bell
let it
Tolls,
be
which is
written. So
So
let it
Let It Be
be
Done.
done.
And the second song was For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is a gotta be top 3 favorite Metallica songs for me. And then they did Welcome Home Sanitarium, which was a new song at that time. And they did Whiplash. And then they came back and did Fade to Black, another fantastic Metallica song. And then the 6th song of the set was Seek and Destroy. And then they did the 7th song was Masters of Puppets. And then they did a Misfits cover, uh, Last Caress,
I got
which is
something to say. I killed your baby today.
today. Doesn't matter much to me as long as it's dead or something like that. So then the 9th song in the set was also a cover song, which they,
Diamond Head
you know, yeah, they
and my
brought Diamond
evil.
Head. Yeah, My Evil, right. And then they did Battery with Damaged Ink intro. Battery! Battery!
They did. It's funny. They didn't do anything from Injustice for All, which they surely should have been at
I don't
least
know
in
if it was
pre-production
released.
for by then.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it definitely hadn't come out yet, but
Yeah, that
The
was
Garage
before that.
Days Revisited EP had come out.
And of course, we saw them, that later that spring in '89. We talked about that in episode 2. But we basically talked about the opener,
Yeah.
Queensryche. But yeah, that they were on that was probably the beginning of the Injustice at All tour. Oh, by the way, we have our first.
Hi, Rosie.
Yeah, no, that's whiskey.
Oh,
We have
whiskey.
our first guest
Okay.
on the broadcast, which would be my brother-in-law's dog, Whiskey, and he is my shadow for the week. So he decided that he had something to say about Metallica.
All right. Good dog.
Yeah, yeah. Well, his 11-year owner is a huge Metallica fan. Matter of fact, I've seen him a couple of times this week because it's summertime, and he had a different Metallica shirt on every day he came over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his dad took him to go see Metallica at Northwest Stadium. Just this, what was it, June? Yeah, beginning of June, and that
Yeah, I
was
heard that was a good
his
show,
first.
and they actually noodled on Fugazi's Waiting Room at
Wait,
one
what?
point during that show. Kurt and Robert, the bass player, started playing Waiting Room by Fugazi, a DC
At that
legend.
show?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, I saw
Okay,
some.
so let's talk about the Scorpions. When did you first hear the Scorpions, John?
Um, Probably later than you, because I got into them I guess when Blackout came out, and then I
Oh,
backtracked and discovered the Woolly Years, and then of course the Michael Schenker album, the first album, Lonesome Crow. But I didn't really know who they were until Blackout came out and No One Like You started getting airplay.
yeah, 1982,
Yeah,
the Blackout album.
they had gotten some
Really
other
got a
airplay.
blackout.
Yes,
Blackout. I got a blackout. Um, you
Dynamite.
know yeah, Dynamite. What a great song. Um, I was probably in 7th grade when I first heard that the album with the guy with the thing on the thing in the back of the limousine. What album is that? Uh,
Oh, you talking about Animal Magnetism? Oh, no, no, no,
Animal
no, no.
Magnetism.
Love
No,
Drive. Love
Love
Drive
Drive.
with the bubblegum
And
breasts
I do
cover.
remember listening to Animal Magnetism, but that Love Drive album came out, I think, what, 80?
Yes,
Love Drive.
1979 or 80. Because it was after Shanker was on it. Michael Shanker played on
Michael
and
Schenker.
co-wrote a bunch of tracks on that album.
Let's see, where is it? 19 released 1979. So that was my God. I'm really going to date myself. I don't know if I really want to do this, but I was a freshman in high school when that album came out, and I mean, just changed my perspective of rock metal music. I didn't know who Michael Schenker was. I didn't know who UFO was at that time. I was 79. I was still listening to Southern rock and Sabbath and Hendrix and all those bands from the 70s into the 80s. But I was definitely a big Scorpions fan when I went to this Master of Rock tour,
Oh, me
and
too.
they they were amazing. They did not disappoint. In some ways, I enjoyed that more than I did the Van Halen because I wasn't really a big Van Halen song, except for the Van Halen fan. except for that first album. But we'll get to that in a second. So yeah,
Well, they kicked it
well,
off with Blackout, which was my introduction to the band, of course. But they opened up with Blackout, which was pretty hot.
all right. Well, you want to run down the set list? I did the first two. You
Sure,
did the
they
first
opened up
three. You go ahead.
with
Wait, we
Blackout.
missed Dokken. We missed Dokken.
We did. We'll
Let's go
circle
back to
back.
Dokken. Okay, we'll
Okay.
circle back to Dokken. No, you want to do it now?
Sure. We'll go to
Mm,
Dokken now.
all right.
All
So
right.
I missed.
Dokken opened up with Tooth and Nail, which was the title to that was their second album, right? Tooth and Nail. And
I
then
believe
it
so.
just got lucky, which was a big. I don't know about a big hit for them, but I remember that was one of my more favorite songs of theirs. Just got lucky. Burning Like a Flame. I'm gonna say that was on their third album. Into the Fire, that was also on the second album.
Into the Fire. That was a huge
I'm
radio hit for them.
falling.
Into the man. That was on heavy rotation on
Yeah, that was a good
MTV.
track, man. Then Heaven Sent, which I believe was on their third album. It's Not Love. Maybe that was on the third album too. That was like a power track. Then the guitar solo by um, God, I'm blanking on George Lynch. George
Yeah,
Lynch,
George Lynch.
who
Yeah, the original guitar player. Yes.
I'm wondering if him and Eddie must have known each other from way back. So I'm wondering if that's how Dokken got on the tour, that they wanted to have another hot LA guitar player, because George Lynch definitely fits the bill. That guy is a
Yeah,
monster.
that guy is. Yeah, what a great career that
I
guy
mean, say
had.
what you want about the power ballads of Dokken, but George Lynch just an absolute phenom on guitar.
Yeah, and at that point in 1988, there was a formula to it. You know what I mean?
Yes,
They want and they wanted the power ballad first, and then go into the heavier music because they wanted the radio play. And of course, Metallica didn't fit that norm, and the Scorpions were already established, and Van Halen had been writing love songs forever. So, uh,
I
that
got a
was the
drink in my
formula for
hand. I got my toes in the sand. That's a
them.
love song, isn't it? Beautiful girls. But
Yeah.
anyway, so George Lynch got a solo spot, and then they played Mr. Scary, which I believe that was on the third album as well.
Yeah, that's got some serious grungy, good George Lynch guitars in the very beginning.
Yeah, and Standing in
Heck
the
yeah.
Shadows. And then their first big power ballad, Alone Again.
Alone Again.
I'm
Let's see if I can remember.
alone again without
Oh yeah.
you.
I kind of remember this song.
Try
But again,
to.
this was the formula, right? You had to
Yes.
have a power ballad.
And then they closed it out with the rockin' Turn on the Action.
Oh, there was one more encore you're missing.
Oh, am I?
Yeah,
Oh,
turn
in
on the
my
action.
dream. Oh, yeah. That was
In
also a
my
huge,
dream.
big power ballad. In
My
my dream,
dreams it's
it's
still
still
the
the
same.
same.
Your
Your
love
love
is
is
mine,
gone.
still remains.
Remains.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I
This
can't
is my
believe
state of mind back then,
I
dude.
can't believe we're singing these tunes, man. In our
That was a huge hit. I still like that song. I'm sorry that MTV beat that into me.
that was
That
a good
song
track,
needed to be
man.
up there.
Yeah, in my
Yeah,
dreams,
it
good
was.
track. I
All
guess
right,
at this time
back to Scorpions.
they hadn't done the soundtrack to Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Back to the Scorpions. Enough of Dokken. Here we go. Love Drive,
Love Drive.
1979. Yeah, yeah. We're probably gonna get hit for this. That's okay though. Big Scorpion fan. Big
Yes,
Scorpions fan.
me too. I
And they
first
put
saw
on a
them
hell of a show.
on their Love at First Sting tour. I did not get to see him on the Blackout tour, which I really wanted to
Well,
see him, but I did not make it to their show, the Blackout tour. So Love at
I
First
mean,
Sting
I'd
was
have
the
to.
first time I saw them.
Uh, I had seen them. I mean, those we spent a lot of time at concerts back in the late '80s
Yes.
and early '90s, and I definitely saw the Scorpions several times, which I could probably look at the wall here and tell you, but that just means my voice is going to get you're not going to be able to hear me. So why don't we just go over the set list of this Monsters of Rock set that the Scorpions did on June 10th, 1988 at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C.
All right. Well, like I said before, they kicked it off with Blackout. I really had a blackout.
Blackout. Blackout.
Which is a
Right.
great opener. Just gets your blood pumping, and you're like, yeah. And then they went into Big City Nights, which, of course, was a big hit off of the Love at First Sting album.
Yep.
And then Every Minute, Every Day, which I'm not that familiar with, so I'm going to say it must have been off of their recent album, which had Rhythm of Love.
One of the greatest opening guitar licks ever. Sorry.
The Dive Bomb. Yes. I
Okay,
believe the
so
lyrics by the drummer, Herman. I believe he wrote the lyrics to Blackout. He did a lot of the lyrics for the band because his English, I guess, was better than Klaus's. But
yes,
that's
uh,
neither here nor there. Then they played Rhythm of Love, which was a big hit for them at the time.
big radio hit off that album, and an epic video, I must say. Like lots of CG and early like animation going on. There's a whole story behind that, but yeah, they got mega radio play off that Rhythm of Love song and just high rotation on MTV.
Then they went into Bad Boys Running Wild, another track off of Love at First Sting, the lead-off track from Love at First Sting.
That's right.
And then they went back into their catalog and did Make It Real from Animal Magnetism.
Make it real.
Rake
Yeah.
it meal, make it real, rake it meal.
Another
My fantasy.
another guitar heavy opening,
Then
but
they did their instrumental from Love Drive, Coast to Coast, which is always great because Klaus would get up there on the big semi hollow body guitar, and they'd have a wall of guitars playing that track.
that is probably one of my favorite Scorpion songs, just because it's really well written and produced, and just epic guitar solos
And Michael
it's,
Schenker
it's,
like co-wrote that track and played lead on it, played the
yeah,
solo on it.
yeah. I had to find that out after I was a big UFO fan. And that's another episode. Our love for
Yeah,
UFO and the shows we've seen with that band and Michael and Macaulay Schenker. I would could talk about that for days, but go ahead and finish the Scorpion set.
okay, then after Coast to Coast, they did the amazing power ballad "Still Loving You" off of Love at First Sting, which everybody who was a kid of the '80s has got to remember
Yes,
that track.
dude, that was like a must when the ladies were around. It
Yes,
was like a metal dance song, you know, and kind of
yeah,
had
I
me for some
imagine
art,
at
I
school dances they played that like they played Led Zeppelin's "Stairway to Heaven" when I was in junior high at the dance. they probably played Still Loving You, and that was popular at school dancing.
Yeah, that was the ninth song of the set,
No, that was
right? No,
eighth
it's the
song.
eighth song.
And
Eighth
then
song of
Don't
the set.
Stop at the Top from their more recent album,
Yeah,
which
Rhythm of Love.
I'm not that familiar with. Then Can't Live Without
Um,
You,
yeah, Can't Live Without You.
which that was off of Blackout, right? Can't live without you. Can't live without you. Bum, 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 bum.
Was on the Blackout album? Yeah, here it is. Here we go.
One,
One,
two,
two,
one, two, three,
one,
four.
two, one, two, three, four. Okay, we're gonna get banned from YouTube if we keep doing that.
Yes. Then there was Coming Home, song about being on the road, which the Scorpions have been touring
Another great song.
constantly since the 70s.
Another great song.
Then the all-time classic from Animal Magnetism, the Zoo,
Yes, the
with
Zoo.
the talking guitar bit, the talk box guitar. And then No One Like You, which was, of course, a big hit off of the Blackout album. And then for the encores, Rock You Like a Hurricane from Love at First Sting, and then Dynamite from Blackout once again. And
And I'm
Dynamite,
looking at the
what a great song, man.
yes.
Kick your ass to heaven with rock and roll
Yeah,
tonight.
so
Make this night a special one. Make you feel all right. Shoot my heat into your body. And
that's
it gets
funny.
more graphic after that.
Yeah, those two encores, Rocky Like a Hurricane and Dynamite. I do remember those two songs being played back to back for that encore. They were such great showmanship on stage and had a lot of energy.
Yeah,
And really, again, at the top of at the pinnacle of their career, really.
they were just visually very appealing, and they had their moves were a bit choreographed, but it wasn't hokey. It just it all put together for a really good entertaining package.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're 40 some minutes into this. I just wanted everybody to know that they're listening to the Suffering Meatball Chronicles podcast. I'm Rob Henry, and the other voice you hear is Johnny Epiphone. But sometimes I refer to him as just Johnny or John, or I call him by his proper name. So if you're confused, then you should be.
Yes.
but here on the Suffering Meatball Chronicles, we know him as Johnny Epiphone because that is his legal name.
It actually is.
And then came the headliner at the end of the night. Van Halen. A lot of folks know them or refer to them as Van Hagar because at that point, what that guy, David Lee Roth had. Sorry, David Lee Roth. They had a whole. I was watching TV yesterday morning, and they were telling the story of that, the breaking up of Van Halen, that first inclination, and how Sammy came in and just lifted the band to new heights. Right? All right. Well, first of all, let me go back to that very first Van Halen album. At that time, there was rumors like, okay, so Kiss. Everybody knows who Kiss is. Everybody.
I hope so.
Kiss songs. A lot of I saw Kiss back in the day, and their big thing was wearing the makeup, right? So we thought, and this, was myself and my brother Mike.
This.
Yeah, and a guy who we went to school with, Scott. We spent about 45 minutes arguing whether Van Halen was Kiss unmasked, because at that point we hadn't seen, a Peter Ace Paul and Gene without their makeup on. They didn't do that unmasked tour yet, so nobody really knew who they were. They just saw the characters on stage. So as you know, me in my youth, we wanted to know who they were, and we were literally taking our finger and like putting it over the faces of the band to see, and comparing it with pictures of Gene with makeup, trying to figure out if Van Halen was Kiss unmasked.
Well,
But
the
we
interesting
were
thing was
it was really silly.
there was a link between the two bands because Gene Simmons financed their Warner Brother demos.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. I don't remember. We were just being young and stupid and
Well,
wanted to,
I remember hearing the rumors too that it's Kiss without the makeup.
but it turns out it wasn't. And
Oh,
this Monsters of Rock tour was many years later after that.
yes,
Almost
10 years.
10 years later. Yeah, 10 years later. And they this was their third album, right? Um with Sammy, the OU812 album.
Was it
Uh,
their third or their second? The first one was 5150. That came
okay,
out.
so it was the second one. Yeah, so OU812 was their second debut. All
Yeah,
right, here we
unfortunately,
go.
I'm not that familiar with OU812, and I've
Well, they
forgotten
had this
mostly
song. They,
5150.
they, they had this song, "When It's Love," which was a
Oh yeah.
huge, radio. Again, MTV. I keep bringing it up, but at that time in the industry, if you
Oh,
wanted to get your
MTV
song
was,
out there, if you
yeah, you
wanted to
had to
be
have a
pushed, or
video
yeah,
to
you
break.
had to have a video, right? And yeah, that was part of your record deal, is you got the label would pay for so many videos so that you could get your stuff out there. Now, radio was still really huge, terrestrial radio was still really huge, but it was controlled by you know um, program directors. Oh, oh,
Oh, you okay?
the dog just knocked the light over.
Oh, whiskey. You got to chill out. Got excited talking about Van Hagar. Anyways, Summer Nights was no. Sorry. AFU Naturally Wired was what they opened up with, which is that what we're listening to now?
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been probably too familiar with that song when they opened up with it, so I was probably a little bummed that they didn't play something I knew. But that's what I get for not having really listened to their new album that much. And
Right.
then they played Summer Nights, which I mean, hey, it was summer. It wasn't nighttime, but it was during the day. But they had to play Summer Nights.
Yes, they did, because it was a hot summer night for sure.
Yes, and then
Let me just okay. So I didn't get to tell my story. We kind of went right into Van Halen, but after the Scorpions set, all right, it was dark, and it took forever for Van Halen to come on, and the crowd started getting restless.
yes,
And I,
as they do.
it was total mayhem. I think there was fires on the field. People were lighting chairs on fire, waiting for Van Halen, and people were throwing empty beer cans, full beer, sodas, whatever they old French fries. That me and the two Steves that I were with had to turn around and look behind us so that we would not get hit in the head by a full beer, by somebody throwing something in the stadium. So we were on a swivel the whole time. And then I turned around and caught a muddy high top in my two hands as it was coming at me. And it was disgusting. I ended up just taking my hands and throwing it back into the crowd, never to be seen again. But yeah, it was complete mayhem between the Scorpions and Van Halen. The Scorpions came out, and rocked the place. Everybody was pumped up. And then we had to wait almost a full hour before Van Halen came out. And people didn't want to wait. They just started to destroy that stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, there weren't any fights. Everybody was cool and having fun, and but they were objects in the sky coming at you that you had to pay attention to, or you could get hurt. You know,
Oh, definitely. And I
I think,
totally
I think,
forgot my point I was going to make.
I think that may have been one of the reasons why they don't serve alcohol at the end of a show, or toward the end of a show anymore. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think you're
Like
totally right.
if you go to a sporting game, yeah, you're cut off after the third quarter. So I think that may have been, a good and plus they didn't want people driving home drunk. But that wasn't in place then for these concerts. You could buy beer all the way up until like the end,
Oh, yeah.
and people were spending crazy as much money for a ticket for a case of beer at the stadium, right? Or a six pack of beer, it was like 500% more than you would get in a 7-Eleven or a Highs. Remember Highs back then? We had the
Slushy
High
teas.
stores. Yeah, we had the slushies. But I just wanted to say that was a pretty memorable thing for me. I had never seen a show where the stadium just erupted in chaos. Uh, it wasn't a riot, but man, it was pretty close to a riot, and we were just waiting for Van Halen to come
Well,
out.
thank God
And
no one was doing what they doing over in England at the Castle Donington Monsters of Rock show, where they throw full bottles of piss up on
ugh,
stage. Yeah,
yeah, no, I don't remember
thank
seeing
God
any
they
of
don't
that.
do that over here.
But I couldn't see spending $10 on a Coke and then heaving it into the crowd without drinking it. You know what I mean? It just
No, it
doesn't
was
make
too
any
hot.
sense. Or a full beer that you just paid a bunch of money for, and you're hucking a full can. I was like, throw one at me, I'll drink it.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't. That didn't happen. I got the muddy high top. So
The
all
muddy
right. So
high.
we can move. We can move on with the. AFU was song number one. So Summer Nights was song number two.
And a
Um,
Sammy Hagar solo track,
yeah, there's
which
only
is one of
one
my
way to
favorite
rock.
tracks by him. There's only one way to rock.
You rock. Yep, yep. I do
Which
remember
is
that.
surprising they went to a solo Sammy tune so early in the set.
Yeah, I mean they only had two albums.
Yeah.
Huh. This is interesting because the article I read said that they didn't play any classic Van Halen songs, but Panama is on the list and
And
Running
Running
with the
with the
Devil.
Devil. Yeah.
And why can't Peace Be Love was a Van Hagar song? So yeah, I guess the guy whose article I was reading didn't get to hear Panama or Running with the Devil.
Ah. Yeah, I remember them playing those. Definitely Running with the Devil for sure.
Right. And in between those two songs, there was a Michael Anthony bass solo, which I mean, I don't remember really the bass solo, but
Did he have the Jack Daniels bass with him then? I can't remember.
that's funny. All right, that takes us to track 7,
It's
which
got what
is
it takes, so why
yeah,
can't this be
can't this be
love?
love? Okay, let's not sing anymore.
Yeah.
Keep going down the list, Johnny. Keep going down the
And
list.
Mine All Mine, which was from their more recent release, and then a drum solo. Which now bass solos, I'm a little neither here nor there, but you have to be a pretty good drummer to keep my attention. And Alex Van Halen, underrated drummer in my opinion, and the guy's got the goods. He's definitely one of the most distinct sounds. Like you can just hear his drum playing and go, "That's Alex Van Halen." Anyway, he did a drum solo that was, if memory serves me right, like the whole band started playing percussion and stuff during his solo. And then they did their cover of the Kinks' "You Really Got Me" from their first album, which I'm pretty sure blew the place apart at that point.
Yes. Yes, the fires were at full rage then.
Then they did Sucker in a Three Piece, which again, I'm not that familiar with that tune.
Yeah, that was off the OU 182 album. I mean, it was a pretty popular song, but it wasn't quite as memorable as some of the other ones.
Yeah. But the next song I remember, When It's Love, that was a big hit for them. That was off of the
Yeah.
5150 album,
Yep.
right? 5150 it was on.
It was off the 5150 album. It definitely was.
Now the next
And
song,
that was, yep.
I'm not familiar with at all. It's a Sammy Hagar song called Eagles Fly. So I'm sorry, Sammy. I don't know which solo album that's off of yours, but you guys played it that day, and it must have been a recent tune, I imagine, to play. And then they did, of course, I Can't Drive 55, which everybody from the 80s remembers that tune. Great video.
Yes, and that video with the Lamborghini or whatever it was. I think it was a
Ferrari
Lamborghini,
or
right? A
Maserati,
Ferrari. Yeah,
one
it
of
was a
those.
Ferrari. It was definitely a
One of
Ferrari.
those Italian cars.
Now I got that song in my head, and I'm not going to sing it, but I got that song in my head. All right.
And apparently
And
that
then
song
track.
was really influenced by real life. That Sammy was known for having a lead foot and getting speeding tickets. He wrote a song about it and had like a huge hit from it.
Yeah, I heard that story as well. Then he got pulled over, and the cop asked him how fast he was going. He said, "I don't know, but I can't drive 55," and that's all it was. It's just
Yes.
that's all it took. And he wrote a song about it, and he's made a gajillion dollars, and just an epic, you know, rock song.
Yes. Then there was Best of Both Worlds, which was again from the 5150 album. Then the epic Eddie guitar solo. And
I
then
do remember that guitar solo because he had his signature
his
uh,
Kramer,
white, yeah, his
the
signature
Frankenstrat.
Kramer, yeah, with the stripes on it. And I do remember the stage being black, other than a spotlight on him. Right, just an amazing. That one and only time I seen Van Halen. I never got to see him with David Lee Roth, so um, just to see Eddie do all those great licks, and he just a guitar virtuoso,
Yes.
amazing.
The guy
And
was
that was the 17th. That was the 17th song or 16th song in the set.
right. Then they played Black and Blue from OU 812. And then they played another classic Van Halen tune, Ain't Talking About Love,
Yep.
which is I I used to play that in a band I was in. We played a punky version of it. It was terrible. Oh my. Then the
Nice.
encores, two covers that were just really surprising. They did Stevie Wonder's Superstition, which I love that song, man.
Yeah,
Stevie
me
wrote
too.
that song for Jeff Beck, and was going to give it to Jeff Beck, but his manager made him put his version out first before Jeff Beck's version came out. So, and of course Stevie had the hit with it, but that's a great tune.
Yeah.
And then they do Zeppelin's Rock and Roll for their final encore.
Yep.
And I just remember the place went crazy. Like, oh my God, they're playing Led Zeppelin. Wow.
That's right. Yeah, an homage to one, if not the best rock and roll bands ever. Definitely top 5 best rock and roll bands ever. I will say that I did get to see last summer, the tour with Michael Anthony and Sammy Hagar and Joe Satriani and Jason Bonham on drums,
Oh, nice.
and it was February of 24. They announced the tour, and they were coming over, to my backyard venue here at Jiffy Lube Live. And I asked my wife if she wanted to go, and she said, "No, I'm not interested." So what do? I pull up 5150, and I start playing all those great songs. And after hearing those songs, I'm just playing them, right? I
Right.
mute the TV. We're on the couch. I start playing those tunes, and she just looks up at me and says, "Okay, we can go." So I bought the tickets, and I was a little bit apprehensive about her really enjoying the show. But the cool thing is that our very first concert date we ever went on, was Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien at DAR Constitution Hall.
Oh,
So
super
there
sweet.
was that kind of like, yeah, the memory of our first show together and seeing Joe Satriani and getting to go back and see Satriani, but in a different band. And it was great to hear all those old Van Halen songs coming off that stage. They did such a great job. Uh, it was very memorable, and I kept wondering, is she having a good time? Is she having a good time? And I looked over during Panama, and she's singing with me, and we're singing together. And I was like, I don't have to worry about her. She's having fun. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
excellent.
You know. So very very memorable. Bonham had to leave the band because his wife was going through some stuff. They replaced him with the drummer for him and Satriani's band.
Right.
Uh,
The Kenny Aronoff.
yes, and then Sammy discovered that he could stay in Vegas and do a residency, and I think that band is still doing a residency in Las Vegas, playing all those old great tunes. I don't know if it's still happening. I know that beginning of the year they still had some dates going on, but it's good to see Sammy out there rocking to all those cool Van Halen songs, and the Van Halen brothers, they're not with us anymore, right? I mean, Alex died not too long ago, correct?
No, Alex is still with us.
Alex is still alive.
Eddie's gone.
Eddie is the one, yeah. So
Alex
um,
has kind of disappeared from the public spotlight though, since his brother passed.
okay, so he's still alive, but
He's got a book that just came out.
oh, okay. Well, I am completely wrong about that stuff.
Ah, it's okay.
Um,
It's hard to keep track of. I mean, as we get older, all of these classic rock musicians are passing away, and it's sad. Although Eddie passed away at a fairly young age from cancer.
yeah, and that we all thought when that happened that the Van Halen music was just going to be part of a memory, and to see Sammy bring that back with Michael Anthony in tow and Jason Bonham on drums and Satriani. I mean, Satriani, if you're going to hire a guitarist or have a guitarist in your band that can do what Eddie did, it's Joe Satriani. I mean, it just was the right thing to do in my eyes. And, I was apprehensive, but, because I wasn't too sure how the wife was going to take it. But it turned out to be one of the most memorable shows I saw in 2024.
Did I ever tell you
Um,
my Satriani story?
well, tell me, Johnny. I want to hear it again,
All
even if I
right.
have heard it.
Joe Satriani was touring for his second solo album, Surfing with the Alien, and he was playing at the Bayou. He was headlining. He had a fantastic band. Stu Ham on bass, and I can't remember the drummer's name, but I believe he had played with Marillion at some point in their career. Anyways, I got to meet him through the college radio station I work for, WGMU, and I took my friend Mike Connolly, who was a really good guitar player that I knew, through another friend of mine, Mike Coe, and I'd gone to high school with Mike Connolly. Anyways, we go and see Satriani, and we get to meet him. So I brought a camera,
Very cool.
and we got to have pictures taken with him. This is before cell phones and selfies, so someone else was taking the picture.
At digital media, right? It was film that you
Yes,
had to
it was
go and get
film.
developed. Yes.
And there was some Cheetos in the dressing room that we pretended to eat for the photos, all of us, Joe included. And he was just the most down to earth, nice guy, just really humble and really, really engaging. But the kicker was, I, it was film, so I didn't get the film developed right away because I still had like say 10 shots left on that camera. So I kept the camera, and I was at a WGMU function and left my camera on a chair and left the room for like a half a minute and came back, and someone had stolen the camera with with Joe
Oh.
Satriani pictures on it. So
Oh.
that's my
Yeah,
Joe
but the cool
Satriani
thing
story.
is, the two cool things is that you were backstage at the Bayou with Joe Satriani and your buddy,
And we ate
and
Cheetos.
you got to eat Cheetos with Joe Satriani. That's a
Yes.
great story, Johnny.
I
Sorry
don't
the
know if he'd
pictures didn't come
remember
out.
or not,
Uh,
but
yeah, and that was probably a because that definitely was probably a few months after
and
that he
that was
came
when
back at
Joe still had hair
GAR.
before he started shaving his head.
Yeah, yeah, he had the long hair.
He had the long curly locks.
All right. Well, those are our memories of a festival called Monsters of Rock, or Van Halen's Monsters of Rock, here on the Suffering Meatball Chronicles, the podcast.
We hope you
And
enjoyed listening.
we hope you enjoyed
And
listening,
don't judge
and
us
we
too harshly on
appreciate
our singing.
all the new subscribers. And I'm gonna throw a plug out there. If you like it, subscribe, and leave a comment, a positive comment for us, and we'll promptly ignore it and move on and do another podcast.
But as always, thanks for listening. And that's a wrap on this episode of Suffering Meatball Chronicles. Thanks for rolling through the memories with us, no matter how fuzzy the details were. We might not get every date right or remember every band name perfectly, but the energy, the stories, that's what really sticks. This show is all about celebrating the magic of live music, one meatball memory at a time.
Until next time, keep your ears open, your heart loud, and never trust your set list memory after beer number 3.
Or 4 or 5.
Or 4 or 5, yeah, depending on how many you had in the parking lot before.